Arsenal want two big signings this summer, but can they actually make it happen? Everything you need to know about the Sandro Tonali and Julian Alvarez transfer stories. Let us be honest with each other for a second. Every single summer, Arsenal fans go through the same thing. The rumours start flying, the names get bigger and bigger, the fee numbers get wilder and wilder, and by the time August rolls around, we are either celebrating a brilliant signing or sitting with our heads in our hands wondering what went wrong. This summer already feels different though, and not just because of the usual noise. This time, two very specific names keep coming up again and again. Two players who, if Arsenal managed to sign both of them, could genuinely change the entire direction of this football club. Those names are Sandro Tonali and Julian Alvarez. One is a central midfielder from Newcastle United, the other is a striker from Atletico Madrid. Both are young, both are proven at the highest level, and both are being seriously linked with a move to the Emirates. So what is actually going on? Let us break it all down. First, let us talk about Sandro Tonali. If you have not been following the Tonali story closely, here is a quick summary of where things stand. Sandro Tonali is 25 years old. He plays central midfield. He joined Newcastle United from AC Milan, and he was supposed to be one of the most exciting midfielders in Europe. And honestly, when he has been on the pitch and fully fit, he has shown exactly why people were so excited about him. But here is the situation right now. Tonali wants to leave Newcastle this summer. That part seems to be fairly clear. The question is where he goes and whether Newcastle will actually let him go. According to the BBC, Arsenal are believed to be a genuine target for Tonali, and Newcastle could be prepared to sell him if Eddie Howe's side failed to qualify for the Champions League. That is a very important detail right there. If Newcastle miss out on the top four, the financial pressure to sell becomes much harder to ignore, especially for a player valued at around 115 million euros. Now here is where it gets even more interesting. Tonali's agent has actually gone around offering the player to clubs, and Arsenal were one of the clubs who were told about his availability. According to both Fabrizio Romano and David Ornstein, two of the most reliable names in football journalism, Arsenal looked into the idea. The club's sporting director, Andrea Berta, was made aware of the situation and it was discussed internally. But here is the catch. Ornstein also reported that while Tonali's camp presented the idea to Arsenal, there was no contact made directly with Newcastle United. And more importantly, he said that nothing will happen in this current window and that an exit from Newcastle is now impossible for the time being. So what does that mean for Arsenal fans? It means this is very much a story that is being built up for the summer transfer window rather than something that is happening right now. It means Arsenal are aware. It means there is genuine interest, but nothing is close and nothing is confirmed. There is a complication with Tonali though, and it involves Manchester United. Here is where things get a bit complicated for Arsenal supporters. According to Football Fancast, if Manchester United managed to qualify for next season's Champions League, Old Trafford would become Tonali's preferred destination. And more than that, Tonali would reportedly be willing to turn down a move to Arsenal if that was the case. Now, before that sends you into a panic, let us think about this clearly. Manchester United are currently having one of the most difficult seasons they have had in years. Champions League qualification from their current league position is far from guaranteed. So this scenario of United qualifying and Tonali choosing them over Arsenal is certainly not a done deal. But it does tell us something important. It tells us that Tonali himself is thinking about his options carefully. He is not just waiting for Arsenal to come calling. He is weighing up different clubs. And if a club with the history and global appeal of Manchester United is in the race, Arsenal cannot afford to be slow or half-hearted in their pursuit. So the question you have to ask yourself is this. Do you think Arsenal should be doing everything possible to make sure Tonali chooses them over Manchester United? And do you think Mikel Arteta's project is appealing enough right now to convince a player of that quality to come to North London? Think about it. Arsenal are in the Champions League. They have a clear identity and style of play. They have a manager who develops players brilliantly. The case for choosing Arsenal is strong, but they need to make it loudly and clearly. Why would Tonali actually make sense for Arsenal? Let us get into the football for a moment, because this is important. Arsenal's midfield has been one of the most talked about areas of the team for the past couple of seasons. Thomas Partey's fitness has been a constant concern. The balance in midfield has sometimes felt off. And while players like Declan Rice and Martin Odegaard have been excellent, there has always been a feeling that the squad needs more quality and depth in that area. Tonali at his best is exactly the kind of midfielder Arsenal need. He is physical, he can win the ball back, he has incredible energy to press and run, but he is also technically very good. He can pass, he can drive forward, and he has the football intelligence to understand what a team like Arsenal demands. At 25, he is also at the perfect age. Old enough to have real experience and maturity, young enough to still be developing and improving. He would fit right into the profile of player that Arsenal have been targeting in recent years. The fee of 115 million euros is enormous, there is no question about that. But for a player of this profile at this age with this quality, You could argue it is the kind of investment that makes sense if Arsenal are serious about winning the Premier League and competing deep into the Champions League. Now let us talk about Julian Alvarez, because this story is just as big. If the Tonali story is interesting, the Julian Alvarez situation is absolutely fascinating. Alvarez is 26 years old. He plays as a centre forward. He won the World Cup with Argentina in 2022. He was a key player for Manchester City before moving to Atletico Madrid. He is, without any question, one of the best strikers in the world right now. And according to the BBC, Arsenal have a genuine and serious interest in signing him. The reported fee being discussed is around 125 million euros. That is not a small amount of money for anyone, including Arsenal, but when you consider what Alvarez brings to a team, the number starts to make more sense. Here is the situation as it stands right now. Arsenal have genuine interest. That part has been confirmed, but there is a condition that needs to be met first before they can really push for him. According to the BBC report, Arsenal must first arrange the departure of either Victor Gyökeres or Kai Havertz before they can formally step up their pursuit of Alvarez. That is a really significant detail. It tells us that Arsenal's pursuit of Alvarez is not something that can happen in isolation. It depends on other things going right first, and that always adds uncertainty to any transfer situation. But there is one big problem. Atletico Madrid do not want to sell. Here is where the Alvarez story gets its biggest complication. Atletico Madrid president Enrique Cerezo has come out publicly and said that Julian Alvarez will remain at the club. He rejected all the rumours of a departure, and he did this at a time when Arsenal's interest is described as strong and ahead of what is said to be a crucial Champions League showdown for Atletico. Now, we all know how transfer stories work. Club presidents often say players are not for sale even when they are. It is part of the negotiating game. Atletico Madrid in particular have a reputation for driving a very hard bargain when it comes to their key players, but it also means this will not be easy. If Atletico are digging their heels in, if they are publicly insisting Alvarez is staying, then Arsenal will need to come with a seriously big offer to change their mind. And even then, it is not guaranteed. So here is the question for you to think about. If Arsenal can get the Alvarez deal done, do you think he is the right striker for this team? And do you think it is worth the 125 million euros? Because when you look at what Arsenal have been missing in recent seasons, a truly elite goal scorer who can consistently deliver in the biggest moments, Alvarez ticks almost every single box. Why Alvarez could be exactly what Arsenal have been waiting for. Let us be really honest about Arsenal's situation in attack. Kai Havertz has been used as a striker at times, and while he has moments of brilliance, he is not a natural centre-forward. Leandro Trossard is brilliant, but he is best as a wide option. Gabriel Martinelli and Bukayo Saka are two of the best wingers in the league, but they need a proper number 9 to complement them. Julian Alvarez could be that player. He is not just a goal scorer, he is a complete forward. He presses from the front with enormous energy. He links play brilliantly. He can score all types of goals. Big ones, tap-ins, long-range efforts, headers. He is the kind of striker who makes the whole team better because of how much he contributes beyond just putting the ball in the net. Think about what he did at Manchester City. He was not always the main man there because he had Erling Haaland ahead of him, and yet he still delivered constantly. He scored important goals in the biggest competitions. He never sulked or stopped working, he just kept performing. At Atletico Madrid, he has taken that to another level. He has been one of the most impressive strikers in Europe this season, and he is only 26. For a club like Arsenal, who are trying to close the gap on Manchester City and Liverpool and seriously challenge for the title, adding a player like Alvarez is not just a nice idea. It could be the difference between another second-place finish and actually winning the Premier League. Can Arsenal realistically sign both players? This is the question that every Arsenal fan is asking right now. When you add up the reported fees for both players, you are looking at 115 million euros for Tonali and 125 million euros for Alvarez. That is a combined spend of 240 million euros. That is an absolutely staggering amount of money for any football club in the world. But here is the thing, Arsenal have been building towards this kind of moment for years. The club has been well managed financially. They have a new stadium deal, they have commercial revenues growing, they have Champions League money coming in, and crucially, if they can sell players like Gyökeres or Havertz and others who might leave, that brings in funds that could help finance these deals. Is it possible that Arsenal sign both Tonali and Alvarez in the same summer? Yes, it is possible. Is it likely that both deals go through smoothly without any problems? Probably not, because transfer windows are always complicated and messy. But what the situation tells us is that Arsenal are thinking big this summer. They are not looking at budget options or compromise signings. They are going after genuinely elite players who could transform the squad. And that alone should be exciting for every Arsenal supporter. Here is a question worth considering. If Arsenal could only sign one of these two players, who would you rather have? Tonali in midfield or Alvarez up front? Because that choice tells you a lot about where you think the team's biggest need actually is. What needs to happen for these transfers to actually go through? Let us be practical for a moment and think about what actually needs to fall into place. For Tonali, the key factor is Newcastle's Champions League situation. If they qualify, the chance of selling Tonali drops significantly because the club will not need the money as much and they will want to keep their best players for European football. But if they miss out on the top four, the financial logic of selling a player for €115 million becomes very hard to ignore. So Arsenal fans should be watching Newcastle's league position very carefully in these final weeks of the season. For Alvarez, the situation is slightly different. Arsenal need to sell first before they can really push hard. That means the departures of Gyökeres or Havertz need to happen. Gyökeres in particular has been linked with several clubs. If Arsenal can move him on for a good fee, that clears the path both financially and positionally to bring in Alvarez. And then there is the small matter of convincing Atletico Madrid to actually sell. Their president has already said no. But football is a business and at the right price, most things become possible. The bottom line is that neither of these deals is simple. Both have complications, both have obstacles, but both are clearly being worked on at some level, and that is genuinely encouraging. A final question for the Kate Sports Arsenal community. We have covered a lot of ground in this piece, so let us bring it all together with some direct questions for you. Do you think Mikel Arteta and Arsenal's recruitment team are doing the right thing by targeting players of this caliber? Or do you think €115 million for a midfielder and €125 million for a striker is too much money to be spending in one window, regardless of the quality? And thinking bigger than just these two transfers, do you believe that Arsenal are now genuinely one or two good signings away from being Premier League title challengers? Or do you think there are deeper issues at the club that new players alone cannot fix? These are the conversations that make following football so enjoyable. The debates, the predictions, the arguments with your friends about who the club should sign and why. Drop your thoughts in the comments. We genuinely want to hear what you think because this community is always full of really smart, passionate Arsenal fans who know their football. So where does this all leave us? Here is the honest summary of where things stand right now. Arsenal are interested in Sandro Tonali. That interest is real and confirmed by reliable sources. But the deal depends heavily on whether Newcastle miss out on the Champions League and there is competition from Manchester United if they qualify for Europe. Arsenal are interested in Julian Alvarez. Again, that interest is genuine and confirmed by the BBC. But Arsenal need to sell first, and Atletico Madrid are publicly insisting their star player is not going anywhere. Both stories are very much alive, both have real substance behind them, but neither is close to being done. What this summer tells us about Arsenal is that the ambition is there, the club is thinking at the highest level. They are not settling for second best or looking for bargain options, they are going after players who could genuinely change where Arsenal sit in the European football landscape. That is something to be genuinely excited about. Even if it all feels a little uncertain right now, the transfer window opens properly in the summer. There will be twists and turns. There will be days when it feels like everything is falling into place and days when it feels like nothing is going to happen. That is just the nature of this game. But right now, in April 2026, the signs are encouraging. Arsenal are active, Arsenal are ambitious, and Arsenal are going after some genuinely elite players. Imagine Tonali controlling the midfield at the Emirates. Imagine Alvarez pressing defenders and scoring goals in the biggest matches of the season. Imagine Arsenal with that kind of quality added to an already talented squad. That is the dream. And right now, it does not feel completely out of reach. Stay with us here on Cake Sports for all the latest updates as these stories develop. We will cover every twist, every rumour, and every confirmed piece of news as it comes in. And as always, let us know what you think in the comments below. The community makes this place what it is, and we love hearing from you. Come on, Arsenal.